Today, we're going to tackle one of life's biggest questions, and we're going to do it by looking at a really unique perspective, one that kind of reframes everything we think we know about paradise, suffering, and, well, everything in between. So, let's just dive right in. Have you ever noticed that? We always seem to start with this story, a story that feels like it's been with us forever, about this perfect world, this perfect beginning that was somehow lost. It doesn't matter if it's the Garden of Eden or some mythical golden age. This idea of a lost paradise just seems to be wired into our collective DNA. It feels like we're all just trying to get back to something we lost. But what if? What if the whole point isn't to go back? What if it's to move forward to something completely new? This is where the source material we're digging into today presents a pretty radical idea. It says this world, it isn't a failed first draft that needs to be patched up. Nope. Instead, it's a deliberate, temporary first step with a very specific and, frankly, a very difficult purpose. Okay, check this out, because this chart really reframes our whole reality. On one side, you've got creation one. That's our world. And it's not seen as a mistake, but as a temporary classroom or a proving ground. It's described as very good, but, obviously imperfect. On the other side is creation two. That's the reward, a perfect eternal home. And here's the crucial detail. They don't overlap. One has to end for the other one to begin. So that brings up a huge question, right? If a perfect eternal home is the end goal, why not just start there? I mean, why go through all this trouble, all the pain of this temporary, imperfect world? Why is a test this intense even necessary in the first place? Well, according to this source, the answer actually lies in a conflict that started long, long before humanity was even in the picture. The need for this whole test wasn't some kind of afterthought. It was a direct response to a cosmic rebellion. So the idea here is that this whole test wasn't random at all. Before us, there was this massive rebellion in the unseen realm. And in response to that, humanity was created. We were weaker, way more fragile, but we had this unique capacity for redemption. And boom, we were placed right in the middle of this ongoing war, not as innocent bystanders, but as active participants. And that very first choice, the choice to act on their own, to separate themselves, well, it had this profound and immediate consequence. It wasn't that they were just blinked out of existence. It was a totally different kind of ending. What the source we're looking at calls spiritual death. Now here is a really counterintuitive idea. This spiritual death, this separation, if you just let it run its course, it would lead to eternal corruption. So to stop that from happening, a limit was put in place: physical death. So in this view, mortality isn't just a punishment. It's actually a kind of mercy, a firewall to stop evil from becoming permanent. And then the story takes a turn that, as the source points out, no human myth would ever invent on its own. The creator of the entire universe, the one outside of time and space, actually stepped into it. He wasn't just here to offer some good moral lessons. His actions were meant to be demonstrations of power, calming storms, healing diseases, and, of course, the ultimate one, rising from the dead. The whole point was to prove one decisive thing, that this physical universe and all its rules, including death, do not get the final say.
So how does all of this connect? How does a difficult, temporary, and often painful world actually lead to something better than the original paradise? How does it make true, eternal freedom even possible?
Well, this first creation, our world, it serves a purpose that a perfect world never could. It's an arena where evil is allowed to fully show its true colors, and where our free will gets tested against the most intelligent and persuasive deception you could possibly imagine. The logic is, if a person can freely choose to be faithful here, in this environment, then that choice is proven, rock solid, eternally secure. And this is the ultimate payoff. In that new creation, it's not that your free will is taken away. It's that it has been perfected. It's been confirmed through the fire of this test, so there's just no longer any risk of another fall. It's done. So think about what that means. The people who enter this new creation, their wills will be perfectly aligned with their creators, not because they're forced to be, but because they already made that choice freely, under the absolute worst conditions possible. It's the ultimate combination of freedom and total security. So, if our world is this intense, high-stakes test, what does that make it for us, for you and me, right here, right now? How are we supposed to look at our own lives through this lens? I have to say, I love this metaphor from the source. This life we're living, it's not a gentle introduction. It's not kindergarten. It is the PhD of the soul. It's the final exam, where every single person faces the same fundamental choice. Who or what will they ultimately trust? When you look at it this way, this whole framework reframes our entire experience. Suffering is no longer a sign that the plan has gone wrong. Instead, it becomes a necessary and temporary part of the path to something unimaginably better, something eternally secure. And that's really where we have to leave it. This whole journey through the two-creation idea leaves us with one last thing to think about. If this life truly is the ultimate test, the PhD for the soul, it forces us to ask ourselves, what exactly is the question being asked of us? And what's our answer going to be?